Hello and welcome to today's episode of Start at Zero with me, AV. I'm the founder and CEO at Avero Advisors. We're an independent consulting firm that focuses on local governments across the United States. And we go live almost every Wednesday. But if you go on our YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of free advice and great content like this that we want to educate our clients and prospects on. Today, I have with me Jeremy Cedars. He is a senior consultant at Avero and actually one of the smartest people I know. So we're gonna talk about uh, what's what the what to look for in 2026 as far as ERPs are concerned. Um, is it going to be the year that AI really takes over the ERP sector, or are we going to uh, see the bigger names consolidate in the industry? So, with that, Jeremy, I'm going to open the floor for you. Tell the audience a little bit about you and what you're focused on. What are you working on these days?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, AV. I'm Jeremy Cedars with Avero Advisors. Right now, I'm working through implementation projects, really working with local counties, transit authorities, and cities getting live. A lot of my focus has been on ERP overall, whether it's your HR system, which I'm currently working with in North Carolina to get a client live with, or utility billing with a client in Virginia, kind of looking at that whole entire scope, working from selection all the way through implementation, getting to see the big names to the smaller players as well.
That's awesome. And your background is computer science, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And you're now helping these large and small cities and counties implement financial systems, HR systems, utility billing systems. Tell me how you apply your computer science background to the work you do today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of background in computer science and analytics. Uh, the great part about that is it really gets you to think about problems and really solve the problem and find the best solution. So, working with local clients, a lot of the times you have to figure out from the IT perspective what's the issue, and then your stakeholder is on the business admin side of things. And it really is just connecting between your IT focused individuals that are going to be more analytical and more blunt a lot of the times with how they receive and like to give out communication, and kind of pairing that with more of your finance directors, your HR directors, and kind of making sure that information flows. Because a lot of the times when you have a problem in the project, it's not always that there is an issue, but there is a communication issue
Hmm.
between the two different
Yeah.
styles in which people like to hear information and understand things.
Yeah, and also the disconnect sometimes between business and technology, right? And the lines are getting blurred every day. When 20 years ago, when I started in this business, ERP systems and the implementations were run solely by technology departments. They owned it. They designed it. If they did it well, they would talk to the business users and understand business processes and redesign them, working closely with them. Projects that didn't do that and only looked at it as a software project often failed, which isn't untrue anymore either, right? It happens where you don't pay attention to what are you trying to achieve through this new implementation, and that goes off the rails pretty quickly. Um, let's talk about some trends. So we're gonna go into some things to look out for in 2026. It's already March, but our clients and prospects are in the process of budgeting. Those that have their fiscal year starting in July will be going into heavy budget season right now. So I think it's important for us to talk about what to budget for, how to think about technology going forward, because it's not the same as it was even 2 years ago, right? If you went to a conference, let's say GFOA, and saw a product and it took you 2 years to get it on the budget or on your list of priorities, you need to rethink the new reality of the ERP landscape. And I think the first thing that comes to mind, and again, this is beating a dead horse, is AI, right? Everybody's talking about it. Some of it's real, some of it's not. But when we think of ERP, you're thinking of one software or you're thinking of best of breed software that work together. And that debate is still alive, but I think there's a new flavor on it, right? With agentic AI, what really is an enterprise resource planning system? Uh, because that AI is going to change a lot, and every vendor is talking about it. Like, what's your take on how AI is going to change the ERP landscape in 26?
Yeah. So from what I've seen, even just this year from demonstrations from different vendors, uh, AI is still developing between the major players. But
Hmm.
I've noticed the trend has been uh, really a focus on if we can get all of the data in one system. Uh, that is the pitch, at least,
Hmm.
that they can use the AI and use the files that they're training on from the city or county to really what I've mainly seen it do is answering like questions. So that way, your HR department, for example, doesn't have to field as many questions about,
Yeah.
hey, it's open enrollment season. What can I actually do with this? And what benefits do I need to select? So a
Hmm.
lot of the usage right now is on the kind of answering basic questions related to information that would be generally easy to answer, and
Yeah.
also on the analytics side of things with predictive analysis, such as like on a utility side of things, like, hey, I'm seeing a leak on uh, a potential leak in a water main. So we need to send someone out there to just check and make sure
Hmm.
that there isn't an issue.
Yeah, and predictive analytics like that, that's not new, right? But with the power of LLMs, if you choose the right ones, if you do it right, it can really streamline operations from, if you're talking about utilities, customer service to, preventive maintenance on how do you dispatch crews to fix that leak, or how do you know it's coming. All of that power is available to us as long as you have the data, and it's clean and simple, and it's usable by any AI model. And we're finding out the hard way internally too, right? It's not as simple as plugging something in. You have to have, again, the data needs to be pristine, it needs to be usable. You need to think through what process or what problem am I trying to solve with this AI, because the easy button seems to be, let's go get a chatbot and it's going to scrape our website. And while it has great application, I don't think that it really fulfills the promise that AI has. Now we need to start talking about how it's going to uh, run workflows for you, not just report back on what happened. And that's where I think there's going to be a huge impact. And I think every one of the major vendors is talking about agentic AI, how they're releasing agentic AI workflows or workforces. Everyone calls it a different name. Some have advantages over the others. For example, Oracle's got their own cloud. Workday just released their agentic workforce. SAP has Joule. So everyone's trying to do something with it. Uh, but how it's deployed, how it really impacts our clients' workflows is going to be, the proof's in the pudding. So we haven't really seen it outside of demos just yet. I'm sure it's live somewhere. But what are you seeing? I know you're implementing an HRIS system right now and a utility billing system. Where are you seeing AI playing other than
Mhm.
um, the Q&A type of application? Have you seen anything more robust, or where do you see it going if you haven't?
Yeah, at the moment, at least with the products that we're working with, and with the county cities that are kind of uh, less on the forefront of wanting to dock that in,
Hmm.
they're really restricting it to the
Yeah.
chatbot type of work. But where I really see this being more applicable is in the workflow aspect, where you can actually kind of automate basic tasks that take up your day to day.
Hmm.
If there's a task that is very simple to be done, but right now it's being done by a person on a day to day basis, that AI can free up that time, hopefully in the future, to where you can be focusing on more aspects of your job that are more people centric, or
Hmm.
aspects where you need to have more human input.
Yeah.
I don't. I have not personally seen that in the HR space at the moment uh, with our current clients, it being implemented, but it is something that is being pitched at demos and kind of
Hmm.
items that are in the future. Uh,
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, right? Because if you have control over your data and it can be used for multiple applications, that also opens the door for third-party AI products that can do workflows. So you're not locked into a specific uh, vendor stack, right? And we last week we released this. Uh, I think it's a great tool. It's the we released our AI Navigator, which essentially is we we plotted every one of the major AI products available on the market on based on three questions, right? One is, can I buy it, and what does it do for us? Two, am I getting locked in? And three, what do we have to do to implement it? And it's plotted on these axes that it's a quadrant basically that no one paid us for, by the way, and it's unbiased. It's based on our experience in the industry, and the QR code's on the screen right now for those of you that want to check it out. But it's a cool document that essentially gives you the state of the union on AI right now, and we're going to keep updating it frequently because, as you know, information changes and things with AI change rapidly. Jeremy, so the next thing I want to dive into, obviously, AI is going to be huge in 2026, and how our clients decipher what's being offered versus what's available actually for them to use right away is going to be key. Um, and then I think we've had this discussion about best of breed versus all in ERP systems. I think there's a focus now on solving specific functional problems, right? Rather than having it all in one product. I know there's products that do it all, but our government clients may not have the appetite to take on a giant ERP project in 1 year. So I know one of your core areas is utility billing and customer information systems. Tell me about what your thoughts are on how that might change in 26.
yeah, I personally agree that there's going to be more of a focus on uh, not best of breed, but like those specific uh, modules that
Hmm.
can be implemented as standalones and then kind of brought together in the whole cloud ecosystem. With utility billing in specific, a lot of on utility billing, a lot of your core functions can differ based on the state you're in, and there are certain products that kind of just tie into your overall ERP system that on a standalone will give you a lot more functionality than the ERP system's one-off utility module. And some of those features, such as like customer centric portals, where the customer can go in and almost pay off their bills like it's Amazon,
Hmm.
or uh, some of the other features like uh, mobile workflows that allow your maintenance staff to kind of be in the field, look at the GIS system, and track where other people are actually in the field to not only get the work done more efficiently, but also be able to work as a team in the field without having to have someone uh, at center
Yeah.
base in the city or county to actually run the staff. It's kind of can be self-run through the mobile app slash GIS that's built into that utility system that helps kind of people can bid on different items uh, such as you would just tasks in a task load, and it kind
Hmm.
of organizes itself.
Yeah, that's the work order and the asset management side, right? And
Yes.
they're all interrelated. If you're running a utility, you need to make sure that your customer information system is talking to your enterprise asset management, your financials. But if you focus just on the billing side, right? Customers they don't want to talk to utility. I don't want to talk to my utility. They do great work, wonderful service, but I'm not going to talk to them unless there's a problem. Or if I'm building a new house, I need it connected. And the modern utility, and it's not just utilities, right? This is like it applies to permits, applies to um, getting a business license, applies to your tax system. Customer self-service is going to be huge.
Yes.
People don't want to line up outside city hall. They don't want to fill forms. If we can, like you said, if we can do business with Amazon on a smartphone, why can't I do business with the city in the same way? So that's the question to answer. And I think the products that are going to help solve that particular issue will rise above everyone else. But I think it's becoming a commodity too, right? Most vendors offer vendor self-service, customer self-service, employee self-service for HR systems. So it's the thing of the past, really, to have a choice. People don't have that choice anymore. Customers, right? The product you're buying will have those functionalities. Now, whether you turn them on or off is a different story. And HRIS, that's the other big thing. Customer self-service. People don't want to call HR. They don't want to go fill out forms. So what are you seeing that's going to proliferate in 2026? More self-service, more reporting, more AI telling you what you need to be doing in uh, open enrollment. What are you seeing? What are the trends in HRIS systems?
Yeah, on HRIS systems, the real trends that I'm seeing are the uh, the focus on giving the employee more power in terms of putting in their own addresses, uh, having full autonomy with guardrails on actually entering in information, whether that be editing your own time sheet if you're going with a time management module inside
Hmm.
the HR system, uh, or as basic as entering in your uh, your bank account and having it. The system that I'm working with right now will actually run a paycheck to make
Hmm.
sure that the bank account uh, that the user put in is valid. So that way it takes it one step away from payroll having to go in and check. So it's a lot of more giving that onus to the employee,
Hmm.
freeing up HR and payroll and anyone else that would be doing that more admin staff items of data entry and taking that completely away. I've even seen on those that have different recruiting modules that may not even be part of their HR system, pushing that information into the HR system and allowing uh, so that way they don't have to do double entry, but also having the employee through onboarding fill out the information that they wouldn't, that HR doesn't need to go back in and fill out themselves. And then on the reporting side of things, uh, it's more data at your fingertips, which is great, but there has to also become more focus on what is the finding out what used to get out of the data.
Hmm.
It's great that the data is at your fingertips, but having someone to really understand the reports when you're in a large system and write those reports, because it's not in the past where you have to write SQL queries to
Yeah.
actually write reports. Now it's I can go click. I want name, first name, last name, pay date, and uh, it will pull that information out, and it's more user friendly. I could go in and write a custom report without even having to learn any code. So it's really understanding the power that's at your fingertips when you're looking at a modern HR system.
Yeah, and I know it applies to all kinds of systems, right? And the funny thing is, and I'm smiling because I've been in this field for 20 plus years, and
Mhm.
the story hasn't changed. That the what people have wanted in our industry is just that:
Yeah.
self-service, automation, ad hoc reporting, dashboards. And I think if nothing else, the AI age or this year, we're going to start seeing things happen using AI or not. You're seeing these processes being automated actually.
Mhm.
And so the onus is now on agencies and consultants like us to help our clients understand their business process, understand how it's going to change, how it could change in the future, regardless of what system you buy. And as I learn about AI some more, as I tinker with it, I keep coming back to the fact that the key skills that will not be automated, at least not that I can see any quickly,
Mhm.
is understanding the business, understanding business process, and helping clients decide how much to automate, what tools to use to automate this, and how do you actually implement it. And a big part of that is data. If you don't have the right data sources, if you don't have reliable data sources, you're not going to get anywhere. Um, and I actually, I know you know this, but I wrote a book about all of this, and I'm going to put a QR code on the screen right now um, to the book landing page, which will give you access to chapter one. And if you want a signed copy, I think we have a few left. Please scan that code, and we'll reach out to you with more information. But all of this information from my experience over 20 years is in this book. I'm really excited about it. It comes out sometime this spring. Working on final touches. Let's take an audience question. Katie asks, how do you think AI or modular SaaS will change the predictive analytics game for local governments? I'll let you take that, Jeremy.
Yeah. So I think in terms of predictive analytics, I really believe that in terms of overall SaaS, AI is going to prompt you with the actual information you need. Uh, I'll use an example from utilities again. Uh, on the utility side, it would help you predict and come with the information of, hey, there is potentially a water line break.
Mm-hmm.
I need to send this person out. And depending on the permissions that you give, the AI could auto assign someone to go out and check that water line. On your more finance side of things, predictive AI can help you in the budgeting season look
Yeah.
at past budgets and actually predict what is the next 5 years budgets going to look like based on uh, growth of overall employees, uh, growth in terms of salaries, and kind of give a city or county that chance to kind of see where the budget will go and where they may need to cut back to finance different projects.
Mm-hmm. And it also applies to like purchasing, right? One of the most paper heavy, cumbersome processes is government purchasing by design because it has to be. But I think predictive analytics on purchase trends, all of that, again, it's been around. It's been around for ages. People have wanted it forever. But I think AI is accelerating that deployment of these processes. Also, it's taking away some of the resistance on the people side because all of the tools available today are really accelerating modernization to the point where there's resistance, but people are also excited about automating their workflows. So great question there, Katie. Thank you. The you know we haven't talked about cybersecurity. Like I know it has nothing to do with directly with ERP, but it used to be the number one topic on CIOs' minds for the last 15 years, and this year AI has become the number one. Cybersecurity is two. Doesn't go away. It probably becomes more pertinent, right? Because if you're deploying AI, if you're not doing it safely, you don't have the guardrails. Forget it within the AI software, but you need guardrails in your infrastructure because you don't want prompt injection attacks. You don't want things like that happening to your data sets, to your workflows. And the old attack vectors are still out there. Uh, Phishing scams, gift cards. We get those all the time, right? Someone pretends to be me and tells you to go get a gift card. That's still going to happen. And there's some great AI tools out there. Anthropic just released, cloud security last week, which tanked all of the cybersecurity stocks. I don't know why, because I haven't really looked into it, but cybersecurity in 26, it's always been important. It's going to be more important this year and going forward because as you deploy an agentic AI workforce, you better have your ducks in a row in terms of security in your infrastructure and in your software. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it becomes a major point of actually implementing AI.
Hmm.
One of the resistant points with one of my clients is just what is the AI going to actually be trained on, and what is the vendor going to be using this data for? Do they have access to my data to train other AIs? A
Yeah.
lot of the vendors are saying that your AI model is your AI model, and that they won't train on your data for other clients. Uh, but obviously the AI had to have been trained on some data
Yeah.
in the past as well, just as testing proof.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's not only what data am I giving out, it's also what am I letting it uh, review and kind of tell others. Uh, for example, when setting up a chatbot, it's very important that you're setting up exactly who can have access to that chatbot and what types of questions they can ask. You don't want a janitor, for example, to ask what is the city manager's uh, uh, pay for this year, and for it to just spit out an answer because it has that data. You need to really put restrictions on what the AI is allowed to tell individuals and kind of what data it's restricted to based on user access. And then also making sure that when an employee is using AI, that you're restricting or not restricting, you're making sure they're focused on the AI that you're using, and that
Hmm.
they're not just pulling up a different AI that is reading your data and causing leaks.
Yeah, and I did a long video on that, right? How do you do demos in 2026? And it's on our YouTube channel. Uh, Really, when you see a demo, like it used to be simpler, right? And I think this goes into answering Megan's question, which is how should organizations think about ERP differently than they did 10 years ago? One of the things is demos. You could see software as it sits right now, how it's going to work for your organization. Today, when we're sitting through demos and we're seeing demos on some AI product they're building, which is going to be released next year or when you go live, it becomes really hard to uh, see what's real and what's not. So the problem of vaporware is back with a bang, and it's going to be an issue because if you're making decisions on which product to go with based on some cool AI demos you're seeing, it better be real. You better have a mechanism to test that to make sure that it's real. The second thing is every AI deployment is its own implementation. I don't think there's such a thing as a plug and play SaaS AI product because you have to train it on your data, you have to train it on your workflows, you have to set your own guardrails on who can do what with this AI product. And again, we're building one, right? We're building our own agentic workforce and AI based products to help us deliver services to our clients better. And these are the things we're running into. Every small module you're trying to automate needs its own training, needs its own workflows, needs its own implementation. And so when you see something in a demo that works somewhere else, or it's in production, or it's in development, sorry, then you have to think about, okay, if that cool idea works, how is it going to be implemented at my agency? And am I getting locked in? Am I going to have to give up my data for this agentic whatever that's being sold to me to work as advertised? So those are the things I think to keep in mind in 26. And we talked a lot about data governance, data sovereignty. Moving to the cloud is the easy, it's the easy button. If you have a 30-year-old ERP system that's on a dying server, yeah, it makes sense to let Oracle, Workday, SAP, whoever have it and hold it for you, and so you can use it. But now the question becomes, like you said, what's it going to train? Am I going to get to use it? What do I do if I want to leave or bring third-party AI products in? I know there's several different ways to skin that cat, but really these are the questions that we should be asking or negotiating contracts based on. Any any additional thoughts
You
on
know,
the differences in how ERP? I know you weren't in the business 10 years ago, but
uh,
it's changed in the last 3 years that you've been in the business.
yeah, I've noticed a focus more, at least in demos, on the actual team that's brought to the demos, in terms of who you're actually going to be working with to implement the product.
Mhm.
Everyone's been very flashy with what their AI can do in the future, uh, but at least for the clients I've worked with, there's been a significant focus on, do we trust the implementation team itself to
Mm,
be able to implement not only the AI that is going to come in the future, but the current product as we're seeing it today. Because it's great to see what's coming in the future, but at the end of the day, at minimum, you're going to get what you saw at the demo.
hmm.
So it's important before you make a commitment to know that you like what you're seeing up front.
Yeah. Well, and it
Mhm.
as it becomes more commoditized, right? Software is going to do the thing for you. So
Mhm.
you have to be clear about what outcomes and outputs you want from whichever product you're buying. So when you sit through demos, it's less about what fields am I clicking on, what buttons am I clicking on, and that's going to be more and more the case as truly agentic AI becomes reality. Where if I'm an executive, I'm going to be interacting with my data through a chatbot or through my text messages or through Slack. So the traditional graphical user interface may not be a thing to really base your selections on. And they all look similar, right? Some look older
Yes.
than the others. They're all slick. They're all 2026 modern, and they all do the thing. So what's going to differentiate? I think Katie's question is, what's the common selection mistakes you're still seeing in 26? Mine is, my thought is that if you put too much reliance on what a screen looks like or what reports look like, that may be a mistake, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your workflows, which are unique, um, 90% of the workflows are common, right? Every product can do accounts payable, every product can run payroll, but the nuances in your organization that you want this new product to handle that has been historically run on paper or Excel sheets, that's the thing to watch for. And uh, second is what you mentioned, the people. Who's going to implement the product? Who's your system implementer? Is the software company doing it on their own? All of these factors, and because you're going to live with them for the next 2 to 3 years, do we have the same values? Do we see the world the same way? Is everyone on the same page as far as our urgency to get this thing done, or are you just looking for the next invoice? Uh, these are all the things to look for. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I my biggest piece is definitely the people side and making sure that the project team that they're bringing uh, is the people you want to work with. One common mistake I've seen, at least in the industry, is seeing a flashy marketing team kind of really promote the product and what it can do. And then when you get into the actual implementation itself, it can do that, but we've never implemented it to do this. So really making sure that you're not being told, oh, it can do that, but you're making them show you it in the actual demo.
Hmm.
Uh, because I've seen a lot of vendors at times tell us, yes, we can do that, but when the vendor will come back and from even a just a one-off question from a client that wasn't necessarily part of the demo and actually show their system doing that, uh, it brings more faith from the client side that the vendor knows what they're doing and that they can meet that specific requirement that was based on paper that has never been put uh, in the city's system because it can't handle it at the moment.
Yeah, and also looking to the future, right? That's where we come in too, right? We have to design this demo process, and a lot of times we're up against advice that the purchasing department got 5, 10 years ago, or they went to some seminar, but put up by an organization that serves uh, those offices. But a lot of times the advice is old. They're acting on really old methodologies, and so they want us to do it a certain way. Demo scripts that are rigid, evaluation criteria that are old. So we do our best to make sure that our demo scripts, eval criteria, the scheduling of things, the sequencing is what's best for the client. But the reality of that too is you need to give our software provider friends the flexibility to show the product in the way that they can best show it. So there's a fine line that we have to ride to make sure that when demos happen, and these are multi-day, pretty boring events, especially if what you're looking at isn't part of your core modules that you work in. So it's our job to make sure that these uh, demo weeks become very, very effective, and we can't do that if we're still running 20-year-old processes on selection. So that's changing too, right? In 2026, I know we talked a lot about the systems itself, but how do consultants fit in? How do we support our clients in picking the right products for them? And part of that is us being innovative on uh, how we do RFP writing, selection, because we could just fall back into the old trap of 2000 requirements lines, check them off. Here's your demo script. The world has moved on from those things. Software's a lot better. It can do a lot of things, and it doesn't really need that kind of deep scrutiny. What needs scrutiny is obviously how AI is going to be deployed, who's going to work with us, and how do we make this a fruitful long-term engagement. Though I think that doesn't change. And as I think through the last 35, 40 minutes we've been talking about, it's none of this is new. Yeah, the products will be flashier, they'll do better things, they might become cheaper, they'll definitely become more automated, and everybody wins, especially the client. But the key aspects of this, and this is what I wrote the book on, is starting at zero means that you're taking phase zero very seriously, understanding your current business processes, your strategy, who's going to be decision makers as you go into this implementation journey. That's super critical, and that doesn't change. um, and so it's going to be an exciting year, I think, with all the selections that we're doing, and we get to see all the cool new stuff being offered on the market. And so I'll tap your brain again in a few months to see if anything, or if how things have changed, not anything, because it's rapidly moving fast. um, yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. What are the
Yeah,
thoughts?
absolutely. I mean, seeing demos even 6 months ago to 3 months ago, it's a complete difference in what all is being worked on.
Hmm.
So very excited to see what is it going to look like in 3 months.
Absolutely. Well, Jeremy, thank you for joining me today. We'll have to do part two again because I love picking your brain. Um, and you're on the ground meeting with clients on a daily basis. So it's really important that we have you back on the show and talk some more. But thank you for joining everybody that tuned in. Uh, Let me know what we missed, what we may have left out, but our channels are always open, and you can find us at averoadvisors.com or on LinkedIn. And we look forward